Most of us grow up believing that reaching the middle class is basically the ultimate finish line, right? You know the script. You work hard, land a solid job, buy a nice house, and boom, you've made it. Your fridge is full, you got a decent car in the driveway, maybe you take a nice vacation once a year. And look, absolutely, compared to poverty, being in the middle class is a massive privilege. We should never, ever take that for granted. But today, we're breaking down some fascinating source material that reveals a pretty stark reality. The middle class isn't a finish line at all. It's actually a beautifully disguised trap.
I want you to be brutally honest with yourself for a second. How long could you survive if you stopped working right now? Like, if the paychecks literally just stopped today, how long until the fridge is empty and the mortgage bounces? For most middle-class earners, even the ones bringing home really significant paychecks, the answer is a terrifying 1 to 2 months max. They can't get off the hamster wheel because they don't possess actual financial freedom. They're really just living paycheck to paycheck on a slightly higher, much more expensive scale.
You can think of the system as a beautifully designed box. As the sources point out, the middle class isn't the finish line. It is a designed system of padded walls meant to keep you comfortable, but not free. And those walls are padded with that exact comfort, you know? You have just enough income to cover your needs, a little left over for some wants, and constant reassurance from society that you're doing just fine. But those same walls have invisible limits. They aren't built to help you discover your full financial potential. Honestly, their only goal is to keep you productive enough to keep the engine of society running, but not free enough to ever actually walk away from it.
When we compare poverty to the middle class, there's this stark psychological difference that emerges. Poverty is obvious. It hurts, it's felt every single day. And that acute pain forces urgent action. You have to move. But what makes the middle class so deeply dangerous is that it's quiet. It is perfectly comfortable. It's exactly like sitting in a warm bath without realizing the water is slowly draining. It's not painful enough to force you into action. It just kind of sits there in the background of your life, slowly breeding complacency, making you settle, and ultimately stopping you from questioning what's truly possible for your own future.
Lifestyle inflation. This is the ultimate hamster wheel where a yearly raise just morphs into a bigger mortgage, a nicer car, and a more expensive life. The trap works so incredibly well because it actively rewards the exact behaviors that keep you stuck. You get a promotion and suddenly that perfectly fine sedan you've been driving feels a bit too old, right? The system says, great, here's a higher credit limit. On the surface, it really looks like you're getting richer. But earning more money without fundamentally shifting your mindset, that only speeds up the hamster wheel. Your life just gets more expensive and your dreams actually shrink to match your income.
But hey, the good news is the source material gives us a clear escape blueprint. It's a 5-step process. Recognize the trap, build your skills, create a profit machine, scale it up, and finally, build a wealth system. And the goal here isn't just to get a little bit richer. It is to build a life where you have absolute financial freedom and don't have to answer to anybody. So, let's break these down.
Step 1 is all about getting brutally honest. The sources highlight this profound, simple truth. In order to change your life, you have to change your life. I know, it sounds totally obvious, but it requires us to completely step out of our comfort zone. You have to recognize the trap you're in and consciously decide not to let your potential go to waste. You've got to stop making decisions based purely on what feels safe and start making them based on where you actually want to end up. And let's be super clear here. This means accepting some sacrifice. It means embracing risk, embracing a bit of real discomfort, and being willing to put in the focused work required to bust out of those padded walls.
Okay, so if step 1 is the decision to escape, step 2 is acquiring the tools to actually pull it off. And there is a very specific reason the middle class stays stuck, which boils down to the number 24. Middle class income is directly tied to time, and time is strictly capped at 24 hours a day. You can only work so many hours before you literally just collapse from exhaustion, right? The wealthy break out of the trap by severing that exact link. They don't sell their time, they sell their value. And to do that, you absolutely have to transcend that 24-hour limit.
To sell value instead of your time, you need high-income skills. We're talking about things like sales, marketing, copywriting, coding, product design, leadership, negotiation. These are rare, highly in-demand, and extremely scalable skills. And honestly, the absolute best part about learning these is that you don't need anyone's permission to start. When you have these skills in your toolkit, you aren't waiting around for some boss to hand you a 3% cost of living raise. You are actively creating opportunities and solving big problems anywhere in the world. You're taking total control of your income on your own terms.
Step 3 demystifies the whole concept of entrepreneurship into a super simple profit machine formula. Find people with a problem plus solve it equals get paid. That is literally it. If you can write, offer copywriting. If you can code, build software. Even if it's training difficult dogs, someone out there is desperate to pay you for it. Now, at first, this profit machine might only cover your monthly groceries or maybe your rent, but the crucial point here isn't that initial cash, it's the profound identity shift. You stop thinking like an employee passively waiting for instructions, and you completely transform into a builder who creates their own value.
Once that profit machine is humming along, you hit step 4, reinvest and scale. And look, here is where so many people blow it. First-time business owners often fall right into the freelance trap. Sure, you become your own boss, but you're also your only employee. If you stop working, the money completely stops. That's not a business, that's just self-employment. To build a real business, you have to reinvest your profits back into growth. You upgrade your tools, you improve your systems, and most importantly, you invest in great people to run it for you. You have to literally buy back your own time so you can focus on the big picture strategy rather than just the daily grind.
But hold on, because there is a massive warning sign approaching. If your lifestyle depends entirely on your business running perfectly, you are walking a tightrope without a safety net. Here is the big reality check from the sources. Making money is not the same thing as building wealth. Even a fantastic, booming business has risks. A major client could just vanish. Entire industries get disrupted overnight by new tech. If you are funding your life directly out of your business profits, you're in a really precarious spot. One strong gust of wind, and you slide right back into the middle-class trap.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Step 5. Building your wealth system. The ultimate foolproof flow of money looks like this. Your business buys assets, which builds your wealth pool. Then, those assets pay for your lifestyle, securing true financial freedom. Instead of paying for your life directly out of your business checking account, you use those profits to buy stocks, real estate, and other investments. This creates an unstoppable chain reaction. The more the business earns, the more assets you own. And those assets produce income without you lifting a single finger. So, if your business ever takes a hit, your day-to-day life doesn't change a bit because your wealth stays completely intact.
All of this builds to one triumphant, incredible climax. The goal isn't just to make money, it's to buy back your time, your choices, and your freedom. Being truly wealthy means money is no longer the deciding factor in what you can or cannot do. You aren't chained to a desk, and you certainly aren't chained to a boss. You get to choose the projects you work on, the people you spend your time with, and the goals you want to pursue. It's really about unlocking your true potential and discovering the person you become while earning that total, absolute freedom.
So, we return to you. The middle-class trap is entirely real, and those padded walls are awfully comfortable, but they are only as strong as your willingness to accept them. So I have to ask, which invisible wall are you going to tear down today? Will you finally tackle your lifestyle inflation? Will you commit this very afternoon to learning a new high-income skill? The choice is entirely yours, but breaking free starts with brutal honesty and immediate action. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep building those systems, and I'll catch you next time as we break down more fascinating realities.